Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. This is Fame with Tiffany Renee. On this channel, we talk about everything metaphysics, quantum physics, spirituality, esoteric stuff, everything that has to do with the mind, body, and the soul, all these amazing, delicious topics. If you are new to my channel, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. I appreciate you. Thank you all so much to everyone who subscribes to my channel, everyone who's left comments, everyone who watches the videos. I know sometimes my videos can be a little bit long, so I appreciate you watching them and commenting and letting me know what resonates with you and sharing your amazing manifestation success stories and experiences, which I am just obsessed with. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon, which I forget to say all the time, so that you're always notified when I upload a new video, a new short, a new post, etc. So, in my last video, I talked about this amazing book that I found called The Infinite Way. I finished reading it because I did talk about certain excerpts in a previous video, but I actually finished the whole book, which is a very short book. It's only about 150 something pages, but then there's another chapter that makes it around 180 or 190. So it's not a long book at all. It's very short, and it's very little, very cute. And it's called The Infinite Way by Joel S. Goldsmith. And I want to start by telling the story of how this book came into my possession, because I think it's pretty supernatural. Okay, so get yourself a little something, something. I got my A&W root beer right here. Okay, we're going fresh face, no makeup. I didn't even comb my hair. I just took it out my ponytail, and here we are. And because it's about the message, right? It's about the message today. So hopefully it resonates with you. I'm going to read 4 excerpts from this book, and we're going to talk about it because I feel like they're quite transformative. And feel free to like, share, subscribe again. Leave me some comments. And check out my website if you want to book a coaching or an intuitive session. Without further ado, here we go. So I am back home visiting family. I've been here all summer, and my aunt loves flea markets and antique malls, as do I. So there's this new antique store that we hadn't seen. Well, we hadn't been there before, so it was new to us. So we drove out to see this antique place. And anytime I go to a flea market or an antique shop, somewhere that carries older things, I always like to set an intention, because I always feel like I will find something, or like something will find me that is pretty incredible, pretty magical or something. I don't know. That's just how I think sometimes. And so I set an intention before I walked in, and I asked my guides, if there is something here for me in this antique mall, then let it be shown. If it's something that I need to know, information, a talisman, something, anything, an item, an artifact, anything that is meant for me to see, that I need to have in my possession, then let it be revealed to me. Show it to me. And that was the intention I set. And I walked in, and we just walked around and walked around and walked around. And then we went to another section. And this was like the horror section because it was October. It's just early this month, I think it was. So, or like late last month, early this month. And so they were getting the Halloween stuff out. So there was a section that just had all like Halloween stuff, horror stuff, costumes, masks, movies, and all that. And in one section, amongst all this horror stuff, there was a bookcase. And a lot of the books were like crime novels, or, some of them were like the scariest places in America, or whatever, books like that. And then I saw this book, just like this. And I said, The Infinite Way. that looks interesting. And so I was guided to pick it up and look at it. And because it looked older, you know what I mean, with the leather bound and stuff, I'm like, this is really interesting. And then, you can open the book sometimes, or like on the back of the book, it tells you what the book is about. This book doesn't have that. Okay. It doesn't have the little thing that you can, read to kind of see what the book is about. Nothing. And so I had no idea what the book was about. So I just opened the pages, and it opened to page 122. And actually, one of the excerpts I'm going to read is on page 122. But when it opened to page 122, look what was in there. Look what was in there. These photographs. These photographs fell out of that page. Fell out of the book, page 22. And I was like, oh my gosh, who is this? Is this the previous owner? Then I opened the front part of the book, and there's like addresses in a note that says, please return to Stella Helmbold. There's a Cincinnati address, which is where I found this book. And then there's a New York address. So I was like, oh my gosh, did this actually is this her? You know what I mean? Is this the person who owned this book? And then, again, in handwriting, a tremendously inspiring book was written right there in the person's handwriting. I'm going to assume it is Miss Stella. I'm assuming this is Miss Stella. Okay. And then I opened the book to see like how old it is. 1947. Okay. Is when this book was initially published, right? And it was copyrighted in 1947 and again in 1956. And it says this is the 6th edition, so it must have been reprinted a couple times. But the last reprint was 1956 for this. And then the dedicated part. Okay, when you open books, there's a dedication. Like it's dedicated to whoever helped me make the book, or dedicated to my wife or my kids or my family, whatever. This one, it says dedicated to you. Dedicated to you, to whom this already belongs. So the author, Joe Goldsmith, is dedicating this book to whoever is the owner of the book at any given time. If you now possess this book, then this book is dedicated to you. If this book now belongs to you, then it's dedicated to you. Like, how beautiful is that? Like, oh my God, I've read a lot of books. I've never seen a book with a dedication like this. Like, how personal is that? I love that. So I was like, there's something different about this book. First of all, this woman's name, these pictures, the fact that it's dedicated to me because I found it, right? I was like, okay, I think this is it. This is the book that my guides want me to have. This is the thing in this antique mall that I'm supposed to have. It's this. And when I tell you, I started just flipping through it and just reading just a couple of excerpts. But not only that, you see like these like pencil markings and like the stuff in the margin. This is her handwriting. Like there's so many spots, in where she's just written like notes in the margin, and she's highlighted a lot of stuff in pencil and blue ink. The outrageous colors are mine because I found other things, but majority of the stuff, like she highlighted all this, like, and she has all these notes like in the margin, like up top, even at the very end of the book, she writes like a poem at the very end of the book. It says, mind sleeps in rocks, breathes in plants, feels in animals, thinks in man, knows in God. Like she wrote that. And then the page before it, she has it written, Joel Goldsmith's books. And these are other books that he has. And then she has when she read them, read September 1979. This woman, okay, this was August 1979, August 1979. This is when she read these other books, okay? So I'm assuming it is Miss Ma'am, okay? I'm assuming this is Stella. She was literally studying this man. Like, she was studying this author. She was studying this book, okay? Like, so many marks are in this book of hers, so many notes in the margins. She was literally studying him, and she was studying his information and his way of interpreting who we are, like in spirit. Okay, that was so inspiring to me, and just reading her notes of her processing and understanding. Like, this is a huge gem. It is a huge deal to me. I know. I'm like super excited about it because I've never found anything like this where it's like, wow, this book literally, it was studied by this person. And I even tried to Google the addresses to try to find her. I cannot find any information on this woman. I don't know if she is still with us, if she has transitioned. I don't know if she's still in Cincinnati. I don't know if she's still in New York. Like, I've literally been looking up those addresses, trying to find her, looking up her name. I really don't know. I can't find anything. Google is not helping me out. So I don't know. It sucks because I really want to know if she's like still with us. I don't know. I just do. Okay, that being said, that's how the book found me. Okay. Because it was in the most unlikely spot, the most unlikely place. Like, there's no way I would have expected to find a book like this amongst horror stuff. It's like it was just placed there. It was so random, but I guess not so random because I was I was clearly supposed to find this book. That's the bottom line. I was supposed to find it because it was like it was waiting for me. Like, it was just sitting there waiting for me. And I just felt like such an amazing energy with it. I'm like, this is probably a talisman. Like, I feel like this book is going to do something that's going to change my life. And it really is a phenomenal, phenomenal book. So let's get started with the first excerpt here. It doesn't matter what religion you are. Yes, he does allude to the Bible and, Jesus and things like that, but it's not from a place of religion. It is a place of consciousness and spirit, as in Christ consciousness. So it doesn't matter what you believe in, because I'm not a Christian myself, but I can appreciate the references, the biblical references, because the way they're explained and interpreted, it is on a much more metaphysical meaning as opposed to a face value religious interpretation, if that makes sense. Okay. But take it how it resonates. So the first part I want to read, and then we can talk about it because I don't want to make this video too long, which I say all the time. It's about truth. It's from the chapter Putting on Immortality. And I thought this was such a good place to start because I think he explained this so well. And I think I mentioned a little bit of it in my previous video. He says, how often do we go on the rocks on this point of what truth is? How frequently we attempt to understand spiritual wisdom with our human intellect. This leads to mental indigestion. We are attempting to digest spiritual food with our educated mentality. It will not work. Truth is not a reasoning process. Therefore, it must be spiritually discerned. Truth does not, as a rule, appeal to our reason. When it appears to do so, we must search deeply to see if it really is truth. Be suspicious of a truth that seems reasonable. Ooh, right there. And I think I have to sneeze. Sorry. Woo, he said, be suspicious of a truth that seems reasonable. Okay, Joel, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Okay. How many times have you read something or read a religious text or went to a seminar or, someone on someone else's, channel, and they're explaining something to you, or they're giving you their interpretation of what something means, especially spiritual and religious texts. They're giving you their interpretation of someone else's interpretation of what is being said, and they want you to commit to this as being the truth. And if you kind of inquire, well, how did you come to that conclusion? Like, how have you decided that this is what the truth is? This is the interpretation of it. And the answer that you get is because it makes sense. Because it makes sense. Because logically, I can see that. I can understand it this way. I can understand, the prophet being whatever, or Jesus being whatever, or God, making us do this or not do that, or, prohibiting this and giving favor to that. I can see that. I mean, it makes sense. Ha! Ha! He's saying that's a red flag. Okay? I know, right? I know. Because as humans, things have to make sense to us. Like, that's really how we operate a lot. We try so hard to make everything make sense. Every action has to make sense. Every reaction has to make sense. People's thoughts and their theories and their philosophies, it has to make logical sense to us in our mind. It has to be in the realm of possibility for us to believe that it can be true or it can be possible to achieve, right? And Joel right here is saying, be suspicious of someone telling you or presenting you with a truth, and it's completely reasonable. It makes perfect sense, perfect, logical, human sense. Beware of that. Just question it. Question it. Because he's saying that spiritual wisdom requires spiritual discernment. You cannot try to absorb or to study spiritual wisdom. This is wisdom that is outside of the natural realm. This is wisdom that is beyond human comprehension, because it's not meant for human comprehension. It's meant for your spirit, the non-physical part of you. It's meant for that comprehension. And our job is to tap into the spirit part of us, the non-physical part, the part that has nothing to do with the five senses. Our job is to open that, to channel that, to hear that, and from there receive and process and absorb the spiritual wisdom that was made to feed the spirit, not the mind, right? Because once you got it in your spirit, then it's going to radiate everywhere. It's going to move through you, and you will be operating from your spirit. You'll be operating, every action that you take will be in spirit or inspired. You will be moving in spirit. It will be inspired action, in spirit action. Does that make sense? I thought that was very, very powerful, because too many times everyone seems to have the truth, but the truth is it's diluted so much. When you try to remove the spirit part of wisdom, the spiritual part out of spiritual wisdom, and you try to dilute it to make it make sense for human comprehension or human consumption, as he puts it, you get mental indigestion. Just like you would get regular indigestion trying to consume something else that your body doesn't agree with, or that isn't meant maybe to be consumed that in the amount that you're consuming it or whatever, and you start getting indigestion. Maybe you ate way too much and your stomach starts hurting, or you ate too much spicy food and you start getting heartburn. You start getting some sort of indigestion, some sort of reaction to tell you, this is too much. You overdid it. We can't digest this. We're in a state of discomfort. We're in dis-ease. It's the same for trying to consume spiritual wisdom, but trying to consume it from a human mental state, if that makes sense. You're going to get mental indigestion. Your mind is going to start having acid reflux, if that makes sense. Your mind is going to be all over the place, okay? It resonated with me because I noticed that I did that. I wasn't aware until I read it, and I'm like, holy crap, I think I do that. Because my analytical side, my Capricorn side, because I'm a cuspy, my Sagittarius side is so open to this type of information and the wisdom. Like, give me all this type of wisdom. But the Capricorn side is the logic, but it needs to make sense, though. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Okay, let me try to rationalize spirit. Let me try to rationalize divine truth. Let me try to rationalize faith. Let me try to put it into steps so that I can understand it, right? And it's like he's saying that doing that disrupts the flow, the natural process of you digesting it in the way that it's supposed to be digested, which is through your spirit, not through your logic. And he actually goes a step further in this next section, which is technically the last section, but it ties in with this. So this one is in the chapter called Supply, which is one of the last chapters. And he says, which I've mentioned this before, but never forget that you cannot live scientifically as man or idea, but that you must realize yourself to be life, truth, and love. You must accept Jesus's revelation of the I am until it becomes realization with you. Stop trying to apply truth. Applying truth is the action of the human thought. There is nothing to apply truth to. Truth is infinite. Therefore, there is nothing to which we can apply truth. It is the reality of being. And there is nothing inside or outside for truth to act upon. Truth is self-acting, self-operative. That was so deep. I underlined all that and I wrote, wow, like in the margin. How deep is that? How deep is that? Okay. What he is saying, to piggyback off the first section that we just read, is that we forget that we are not this body. We are spiritual beings we're non-physical beings having a physical experience. So we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And because we've gotten so used to being in this human body, we forget that we're spirit first. And so when he says you cannot live scientifically as man or idea, we literally live only as just being man, like humans, and the idea or the identity that comes with that human experience. And we completely forget a lot of the time that we're not human at all. We're just having a human experience in a physical body. That is really the truth. So when he says that you must realize yourself to be life, truth, and love, because according to Joel, that is what we are. We are life. We are existent. We are consciousness, which means we are infinite. The human body may shut down. It may decompose. It may have an expiration date on it. But that which dwells inside the human body does not. It is infinite. It is life itself. It is pure existence, which makes it truth. That is the truth. And when he talks about Jesus' revelation of the I am, which Jesus has said many times, I am is God. Anything that you put before I am, you are invoking the God in you. You're activating your God inside of you. And he's encouraging people to continue to operate from the I am until you remember, you realize that you are I am. That's who you really are. And when he said stop trying to apply truth, it goes right back to what we talked about a little while ago. How many times do we look at something or we hear something and say, well, this is the truth right here. This is the truth right here. And so in order for me to be walking in that truth, I have to do WXYZ, or I have to refrain from doing WXYZ, or I have to perform certain things, or multiple times a day or multiple times a week, or I have to make sure that I do this or don't do that, or consume this or don't consume that, or et cetera, et cetera. Because in our rational mind, that means that we are actively, we're actively applying truth, the truth of who we're supposed to be, who we're meant to be, who we believe God has intended us to be. But his point is that truth is not something that you can apply. Because once you are something, what are you applying it to? If you are the truth, you are the I am, you are infinite consciousness, you are an extension of the ultimate consciousness, and call it whatever, spirit, infinite intelligence, God, whatever you want to call it. It's very much like the ocean. When Rumi, the poet Rumi, was saying how in one drop of the ocean is the entire ocean. You're not separate from the ocean. Okay? So if we are one drop of the infinite consciousness, we are the entire infinite consciousness in our drop. This is why you hear many people like Joel, Catherine Ponder, Neville Goddard, even Florence Scovel Shinn, Joseph Murphy. Like when you hear all of these people, even newer age, people who are channeling and things like that, every time you hear I am, they talk about you are God, you are God, you are God. That's what they mean. It's like you are God because you can't just be a portion of God. You can't just be an extension of God and be a fragment. That's the word. You cannot fragment all that is. Consciousness cannot be fragmented. It's either everything or it's nothing. And since it can never be no thing, because existence can never not be in existence, then you will always be consciousness. You have to be complete in order to be an extension of the all. So if you're going to be an extension of the all, you don't just get a small part of that extension. You're an extension of the all, and you are the all in its totality within your extension of being the all. That's why they keep saying that you are God. God is God. Infinite intelligence is infinite intelligence, and so are you. Because you are an extension of that, but you are not fragmented. You are not separate from it. That you have been given the wholeness and all of infinite intelligence power to thrive in this human experience within being an extension of it. And that's his interpretation and many others of in the Bible. Jesus does say, the Father and I are one, but my Father is greater than I. That's what that means. The Father, who is God, infinite intelligence, and I am, are one. But the Father is greater than I, than this small human I, than your human self. So even though God is greater, because God is the all, and we are extensions of the all, we are still one with that same all, which means we still have the same consciousness, the same power, the same consciousness that if you believe in any of the prophets or the messengers, whether in Islam or in Christianity and Judaism, whichever ones, all of the incredible things that they did, it is the same consciousness that's inside of us. We have the same capacity to do every single thing that they did. That is the truth right there. And that is not something you can apply because you just are it. We were created with it. That is the truth. So we can't apply truth like it's a technique. It's not a technique. It's not, we don't do techniques to get to that truth because you are it. Is that making sense? I hope I'm explaining that well. Okay. That's that part. But I was like, that's amazing. He's like, just stop trying to apply the truth, because the truth is you are. What is the truth? I am. That is the truth. I am is the truth. And you don't apply I am. You just are. Whether you think you are or not, it doesn't matter. You just are. You are the truth. So you don't have to do anything to try to become the truth because you are it. You were created as it. I thought that was so good. So that was the second part. Okay. The next part that I want to talk about, I'm doing pretty good on time. Okay. Where he talks in this chapter called Spiritual Illumination. This is a good one. He says, instead of our existence being a continual round of demonstrations, okay, it becomes the natural, harmonious, joyous unfoldment of good. Instead of repeated efforts to make good come to us, like constant processes, techniques, etc., our every good unfolds to view without conscious effort, either physical or mental, from the depths of our own being. We are no longer dependent on person or circumstance, nor even on our personal effort. Spiritual illumination enables us to relax our personal efforts and rely more and more on divinity unfolding and revealing itself as us. That is so good. That is so good. Woo! So when he says, instead of repeating efforts to make good come to us, And I said it's like processes and techniques. And listen, you know I love me a good process and technique. Okay. You see how many videos I have about processes and techniques that I've used to manifest concerts, money, different outcomes, all types of things. And I think they have so much value. And I do believe that they, if you believe in them, they can really help you come back to self, come back into alignment, and just remind you of what the end goal is, and like what your story is, to keep you in alignment with your end story, with the scene you've already chosen and you've declared as being true. But what he's saying is, when you know who you really are, when you live in your I am, when you can come to yourself and just accept that you are God, that you are I am, and that all power is within you because it was given to you, and therefore you are limitless. You are literally limitless. We are limitless beings, and we place all limitations on ourselves. We do it. There are no limitations because we're spirit. There's no limitations. And so when he says, instead of repeated efforts to make good come to us, our every good unfolds to view without conscious effort. When I tell you I love that, I turned that into an affirmation. I talked about that in one of my previous videos, that, you know, all of my desires are unfolding for me perfectly without conscious effort, physical or mental. Because how many times, fam, how many times have you just felt burnt out because you felt like you were overdoing it with processes and techniques and video after video, podcast after podcast, seminar after seminar, just doing all of these things, which are amazing because I love them. Okay. But I'm just saying, how many times have we burned ourselves out because we're seeking something? Okay. We're seeking something that doesn't even need to be found, which is our I am, which is our truth. That is spiritual illumination that he's talking about. Conscious effort is not required. And I know that sounds crazy, right? It sounds bonkers even just saying it out loud, because the logical mind, the human mind, is quickly trying to correct you and trying to course correct. Like, what are you talking about? The only way you can survive in this world is through nothing but effort, nothing but conscious effort. You got to work hard. You have to, constantly be in a state of anxiety and overwhelmment. Like, you always have to have stuff on your mind. You can't take a break. You can't, all this type of stuff. You got to hustle hard. You got to grind. You got to do this and this and this. Where he's saying, when you understand that you are truth, that you are God, that you are infinite intelligence, that you are the consciousness that you think is outside of you, you are that power, you are that divine power that you pray to or supplicate to, something that you think is outside of you to be granted. You're already that. You already have it. Our folly is that we're not invoking it. We are not invoking it. We are not activating it. And when we are activating it, a lot of times it is unconscious and it's on stuff that we don't want. It's stuff like we say, oh, I don't want this thing, and we get more of it because all of the focus is on that thing. Like, just think about how many times do you say I am and you follow it with something that is negative, even if you're joking. How many times do you say, oh, because, I'm fill in the blank, or, oh, this is not because, I'm always broke, or, I'm always late, or, me, I'm always going to get in some trouble, or, me, oh, I'm always going to, be in a crazy position, or, me, I'm always getting pulled over, me, I'm always getting in trouble with somebody, somebody, I'm always that person, like how many times do we say that, even if we're being sarcastic or we're joking, you know what I mean? And the subconscious doesn't know that. All it hears is you're invoking your I am. You're invoking I am. You're making a declaration. You're letting it know where your faith lies. You know what I mean? Oh, well, I know that, it's probably going to turn out bad anyway because, this person has a crazy temper or whatever, whatever. Okay, well, you've just decided that. You just decided that. Or you decided that you're not saved. You decided that, you know, there's no place in this world for you. And I'm guilty of this too. See, I just said that I'm guilty of it. Just kidding. Actually, I know exactly who I am, and I'm getting better and better with acknowledging my God self. Like, there we go. I just cleaned that up. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see how easily we do it? It just falls out your mouth. It just falls out the mouth. And so, because it does that, because we do that, we think, okay, there's something wrong with us. So let me go do a technique. Let me go find a video and watch a whole bunch of success stories, which I love. I'm obsessed with success stories because I love cheering for people. But let me go find some success stories and listen to how they did something. And then let me try it. And then if you tried it and it doesn't work, oh, this doesn't work. My life is crap. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, but okay, it works for some people, but not for me, etc., etc. Okay. I'm just saying. Joel is saying that when you get to that point that you understand who you are, you don't have to depend on any person. You don't even have to depend on the circumstances to change. You don't need the 3D reality to validate that your thing is on the way, because you are the validation. The minute you say that it is, it is. It is. Whether it shows up instantaneously or not is irrelevant, because you know that it's going to show up. And it's going to show up in the most perfect divine way. Even a way that may make absolutely no sense to you, which is perfectly fine, because truth doesn't make sense. Like 90% of the time, truth doesn't even make sense. Faith doesn't make sense. Spirituality doesn't make sense. Like, there's nothing logical or reasonable about any of it, but we are trying to make it reasonable and logical. We're trying to give it steps. We're trying to, every time you see a title on a video, this is the key to manifesting, or these are the top 3 things that's going to make your manifestation come within 24 hours, or repeat this 17 times, or write this down 85,000 times, whatever. And blessed, because I've done that. You know what I mean? Because sometimes people do feel like they need order. They need order, right? And that's fine. But let that order come from your divine wisdom. Let whatever you feel that you need to seek out, let it come from your spirit. Let it be inspired. Sit with yourself and ask higher self, I am seeking answers for this dilemma that I'm having, for this financial dilemma. Because I know there are no limits. I know I am consciousness, and I know all the answers dwell inside of me. Bring the answer to the forefront. Reveal it to me, please. I know that you've done it. Thank you. I know it's already here, and I'm anticipating its arrival, or whatever. That's the prayer. That's it. There is no supplication. There is no, begging and pleading, and it's none of that. Because you already have the answer, because you are everything. You are infinite consciousness. The answer is in your spirit already. We just have to activate it and allow it to come forth. Or you just make an I am statement. I am now exactly where I need to be. I'm exactly where I need to be. I'm exactly where I want to be. Thank you. Or as said in the Bible, thank you. Thank you, God, for thou hast heard me. I think it was Jesus, actually. after he had Lazarus, after he rose Lazarus. Thank you, God, for thou hast heard me, for you, I know you always hear me. Thank you, God, for I know that you've heard me because you always hear me. So you make your statement and then you say thank you for it already being done. That does not require physical or mental conscious effort. That is a declaration. That is a statement of truth. And that's it. Okay? Hope that makes sense. Last part. This is from the chapter Physical Healing. Metaphysical Healing, I'm sorry. His chapter Metaphysical Healing. I highlighted this because I thought this was such an incredible example. And I thought it was like, oh my gosh, this is a huge light bulb moment. When we view Niagara Falls from the front, we might assume that it could run dry with so much water continually pouring over the falls. Looking behind the immediate scene, we behold Lake Erie and realize that actually there is no Niagara. That this is but a name given to Lake Erie at a point where Erie pours over the falls. The infinity of Niagara Falls is assured by virtue of the fact that actually the source of Niagara, that which constitutes Niagara, is really Lake Erie. Ooh. How good is that? How good is that? And how good of an example is that? Now, I've never been to Niagara Falls, but I definitely know about Niagara Falls. And it's actually on my list of places to visit. But his point is that because you are already infinite consciousness, our humanhood, as he puts it, can appear as if we are separate from our source. And so when we think we are separate from, sorry, the cat, when we feel that we're separate from our source, that's when we start to waver. That's when the confusion and the doubt starts. That's when, as Tom Caron brilliantly put in his video on Be Something Wonderful Today, that's when you become a pendulum swinging between belief and doubt. You believe that, and you believe in your power and that you can, manifest things and call things forth, et cetera, et cetera. You believe it once you've had what we call movement. Once you've manifested a couple of things. And you're like, okay, yeah, I got the hang of this. And then a 3D circumstance that you really don't want will show up. And then you're like, damn, it doesn't. Okay, now it doesn't work. And you've swung back to doubting. So now you doubt the process. You doubt your deliberate manifestation abilities. You doubt your ability to call forth or to choose a different outcome. And then you do a process or a technique and you're like, oh, I got movement again. Oh, this remedy showed up for me. So you're excited again and you swing back to, okay, I believe in it again. It's that. Instead of, sorry, the cat is being silly. Stop. About to knock over the tea. And that's his point. You swing from belief to doubt, belief to doubt, belief to doubt, instead of being in a state of knowing. And this is what Joel is saying in this passage using Niagara Falls as a beautiful example when he says there is no Niagara. There is no Niagara Falls, right? There is a fall, there is a falls, but there is no Niagara Falls. It is not a separate waterfall. Do you see what I mean? Niagara Falls is not a separate waterfall. Niagara Falls comes from Lake Erie. It is the overflow from Lake Erie that happens to go down over the falls. And that overflow has been named Niagara Falls. But when you think about it, and I didn't know this for a long time, right? So I'm just letting you know. I didn't put two and two together that Niagara Falls was not a separate waterfall, that it's literally just the overflow of Lake Erie. And that's his point. It looks like Niagara Falls is just this infinite waterfall and it's beautiful and it's its own beautiful natural creation and stuff. And he's saying the infinity of Niagara Falls is assured by the virtue of the fact that actually the source of Niagara is Lake Erie. The only reason Niagara Falls has this appearance to be this incredible infinite waterfall that keeps flowing and keeps running is because the source of supply for Niagara Falls is Lake Erie. Lake Erie is the source. That's where all of the water is. If Lake Erie dried up tomorrow, Niagara Falls would cease to exist. Do you see what I'm saying? And so utilize that when it comes to your consciousness, to your I amness, to knowing that infinite intelligence, God is the source of all of our supply. God is the source of our power, the source of our conscious creation or manifestation abilities. Everything that we do, the ability for us to call things into being that are unseen, which is the definition of faith, our ability to call things in that are not here, that we can't see with our physical realm eyes. The source of all of that, the source of this incredible supernatural experiences that we are having, the source of our spirit, we are the overflow of that. We are God's Niagara Falls. Do you see what I mean? So God will never cease to exist. God is omnipresent. God is in everything, in all things, everywhere, and everything all at once. So therefore, we are everything, everywhere, all at once. Because our supply is everything, everywhere, all at once. Does that make sense? I hope it's making sense. Okay, I'm coming up on an hour here. So if you hung in there with me, thank you so much. So just know that we are Niagara Falls, but we are Niagara Falls because we have a limitless supply. Our Lake Erie is infinite intelligence. It's God. And God has bestowed upon us the same Christ consciousness that was bestowed upon Christ and Prophet Muhammad, and all of the other, Moses and Abraham and all of the other incredible prophets and messengers that have existed since the beginning of time. We are all Niagara Falls, and God is our Lake Erie. And so as long as Lake Erie supply ain't running out no time soon, okay, neither is God's. So that's how we know we are everything and we have everything. We have everything that we say we have. That has been said so many times in so many religious doctrines. You have what you say you have. Be it unto you according to your faith, etc., etc. All of this means we are Niagara Falls. God is the source of our supply, and our supply is unlimited. It is infinite. And since our supply is infinite, that means there is no limit to what we can be, do, or have. It is impossible for us to be limited without our own permission. We have to grant ourselves permission to be limited. That has to come from us. Whether we know we're doing it or not, it doesn't matter. So bask in your I amness, bask in your greatness. Know that your supply is unlimited. Know that you have a divine Lake Erie that is constantly flowing, and you are the overflow of that. You are a divine Niagara Falls. And you can be, do, or have everything because you are everything. Claim it. Know your power, know your worth, know who you are. If you are inspired to do techniques and affirmations and scripting and meditations and do all these wonderful things that I enjoy doing, do it. If you are inspired, if your spirit is guiding you to do those things, do it. If your spirit is guiding you to go to the flea market or the antique mall and find an amazing book that is life-changing, do it. Buy it. My aunt got this for me for $10. She even offered to pay for it. Like, divine. Okay? Because you just never know. You never know. You never know how your good is going to unfold. Be open to all possibilities. Don't limit yourself. Don't close yourself off to just what you think consciously is possible. All things are possible because you are all things. Infinite supply means infinite supply. Infinite consciousness means infinite consciousness. Truth means truth. I am means I am. And we are amazing. Love you guys. Thank you so much for hanging with me for this hour. I'm so grateful to Mr. Goldsmith. I'm grateful for Miss Stella. And I am grateful just that I love books. And I'm grateful that I love to read. I'm grateful for my ability to read. And I'm so grateful for the comprehension that I'm receiving. And obviously all this is based on my own personal interpretation and perception, obviously. So take what resonates and leave what doesn't. But I love you all. We are phenomenal. We are amazing. We are infinite. We are everything, everywhere, all at once. We are God consciousness. We are the whole ocean. We are Niagara Falls. Take care, like, share, subscribe, and have a fantastic, fantastic rest of your day, evening, wherever you are in the world. Take care.